Got to renew your mortgage shortly and wondering what to do? Planning on selling your home, buying a new one, need a mortgage? How about a first-time buyer and wondering what you can do? Or got a bad credit score and is there any hope for you? Got some information that you might find interesting. Hi, I'm Jack Latimer with RE/MAX Rightmove, and recently at one of our meetings, the mortgage man dropped by. Actually, the mortgage men, because Mark Good and Mitchell Good both stopped in to share some information about mortgages and what you can and can't do. So I thought I would share this information with you, so I went back to their location on Memorial Avenue and asked some of the same questions about the information they shared with us so that you could gain in this knowledge as well. Let's start with the RRSP down payment, because it's moving in a direction that's going to be very good for you. I asked Mitchell about that, and this is what he had to say.
So the RSP, it used to be $35,000 per person for a first-time home buyer. Now that has been increased to $60,000. So if you have two first-time home buyers, that's $120,000 together. How the RSP works is basically it's an account that you can put your money in and it gets deducted off your taxable income at the end of the year. After you use it for a first home, you have 15 years to pay it back. If you do not pay it back, it just adds on to your income at the end of the year.
When mortgage rates are climbing, one of the things you often can do is extend the amortization on a mortgage. One thing that can be done right now with new builds is you can gain access to a longer amortization period. And here's what Mitchell had to say about that.
So on new builds now for first-time home buyers, instead of the traditional 25-year amortization for insured purchases, they'll actually let you go to 30 years now. So every little bit obviously helps for qualifying. If you can extend your AM, then your payments are going to be lower as well.
In the past, if you were self-employed, it was a big problem. Is it starting to smooth out now with the documents that you can get? Or?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways we can do it. So if you are someone who claims a lot, then we can use a 2-year average on your T1s. Every lender will accept that. If you're someone who might not claim as much, maybe owe taxes to the CRA, we can take a look at using your bank statements or commission statements and using like an alternate lender that will accept those as income. One of the things you should do is get a mortgage quote for yourself before you really need to buy the home. You can lock this in for an early period of time. I would definitely recommend locking a rate whenever you can. We can hold it for up to 120 days. So if you're someone looking to purchase, if you're coming up for renewal, or maybe you want to do a refinance, we can hold that rate for 120 days. If rates go up, then you get that locked rate that's lower. And if rates go down, then we can grab the lower rate as well. It's completely free, so it's very helpful to do that.
I guess the other thing is the whole capital gains situation. So I think most people probably that are in that have kind of investigated it, but maybe you can elaborate on the change in the percentages and where that change kicks in.
Yep. So if you get capital gains over $250,000, it used to be 50%. Now they're upping it to 66.7%. So we're already starting to see a lot of industry news about people offloading cottages, rental properties, because that does come into play in June. Sometimes you're looking for the perfect home in the perfect area, and sometimes it comes around except for one thing. The house needs a lot of work. So can you get the mortgage and get money to fix it up? There is a way of doing that. So there's a couple options we can do. So some of the banks offer purchase plus improvement programs. They normally cap it at about $40,000. So if you're looking to maybe redo a kitchen or a bathroom, something like that, they do require that you have obviously all the quotes up front and that you have enough funds to do all the projects that you plan on doing. Another thing we're seeing a lot of as well is homes that maybe won't go through a bank or an alternate lender. We can do a private mortgage on them, and maybe they're in very poor condition. They've been sitting on the market for a long time, so you get a pretty sweet deal on that for a lower price. You can fix it up, and then what you plan on doing at the end, you can either sell it or you can refinance into a traditional bank mortgage and just live in it. Perhaps your credit score isn't that great. So is there any hope of you ever being able to secure a mortgage? Well, depending on the situation, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We have lots of lenders that have options for poor credit scores. We actually have some that are alternate lenders, so not private, that will actually do 0 credit score requirements. So there's plenty of options out there for whatever credit situation you may have.
a home line of credit can be a very beneficial thing for you.
So home equity line of credit is basically like a line of credit. It's attached to your house. So you can borrow off it. You have a certain amount to borrow. Let's say you have 200 grand. You can pull that 200 grand off kind of whenever you want. You will only pay interest on the amount that you borrow. So if it's just sitting there, you're not paying for it. A lot of people use it as a safety net. A lot of people use it to set up for investments. Maybe you see a nice deal on a property come through, you can pull off your line of credit, purchase it. Maybe S&P 500 drop down quite a bit. You can use that as well. We are also seeing a lot of first-time home buyers, actually their parents, using a line of credit to gift them the down payment so that they can get into their first home.
If you want to get an early snapshot on how you might qualify for a mortgage, you can actually use a neat little app called the My Mortgage Toolbox, and I'll put a link to that right below. In about 60 seconds, it'll give you good news or maybe bad news. But listen, if it doesn't look good on the app, there still is help for you.
Lots of options. So we have over 100 different lenders that we can choose from. So there's plenty of fits for everybody.
How can there be so much fluctuation between banks? How does that play out?
Yeah, so they're all over the place. We see it every single day. Some will have promotions going on some days. Maybe one of the banks lend out too much money, so now they need some in the reserve in case a lender defaults. One of them actually last year, they raised their rates almost a full point higher than everybody because they ran out of money. So they needed that extra money in case people defaulted on their mortgage.
When you say they ran out of money, it's not necessarily the bank ran out of money, but for the amount of money they had reserved for loans was gone.
Yeah, they overlent for sure. So they had to step back a little bit.
And one final tip from Mitchell Good.
If you're looking at purchasing or doing a refi or anything like that, just make sure that you're taking the right steps. You're getting all your documents in line. And if you're purchasing, definitely get pre-approved before you start looking. You'll know what you qualify for. And then you can pull that trigger and not have to worry about financing after.
I want to thank Mitchell Good from The Mortgage Man, the Dominion Lending Center on Memorial Avenue, Orillia, for being part of Living in Orillia today. One additional tip for you. If you're a homeowner planning to maybe get a new furnace or an air conditioner and planning on maybe a lease-to-own plan, there's one thing to consider. A lease-to-own is actually a lien placed on your home, and it can cause problems when you go to sell your home in the future because some mortgage lenders will not put a mortgage on a home that has a lien against it, and that all has to be cleared off. So just something to investigate. I'm Jack Latimer from RE/MAX Rightmove, and please subscribe and give a like to this video. It helps me out. Have yourself a great day.